Heathcliff. And hi. And I love telling people that because it gives me a little bit of insight into their worlds, how they relate to that name, whether they think that it's a reference to like the Emily Bronte novel Wuthering Heights, which it's not. I'm pretty sure that guy sucks. Or if they're cultured and they're like, oh, it's a reference to the Kate Bush song Wuthering Heights, which it is. Or for the truly well-read, that it is a reference to Heathcliff, the original orange cartoon cat. Yes, obviously, right? Because Garfield is a fucking poser, and Jim Davis can fight me. But no, Heathcliff isn't my legal name. It is, in fact, my illegal name. But I prefer having an illegal name. I think having a legal name is a bit expected. I think having an illegal name is kind of edgy and subversive. And frankly, all the better if the state doesn't recognize my identity, because I don't recognize the state. They have no authority over who I am or how I live my life. And my pronouns, because surely I took one step out on this stage and you thought, that looks like a person with pronouns. And you would be right. I actually use any and all pronouns, which is confusing for people, so let me explain to you for a second. They, them always works. He, him, if you're flirting with me. She, her, if you're a fucking cop. If the feds call, sorry, no, you just missed her. I don't know. But no, embarrassingly and devastatingly, I did have a stint working for the feds. Boo, I know. I was working in the mental health division in the Center for Health Promotion of the Public Health Agency on their substance use team. And if you're thinking, that sounds made up, it's because it is. Someone just made it up, the whole government. It's not real. But no, what it boils down to is that I do drugs for a living. It's true, I do drugs recreationally and professionally. I was working in drug policy for a while, but I've shifted and I work in drug education now, doing knowledge mobilization around harm reduction to young people who use drugs. So basically, I just teach kids how to do drugs, but safely. Yes. And one of the messages that we like to put forward is encouraging people to have like a mindful relationship to their drug use. And you know, one of the markers of that, you know, they say, you know, you have a drug problem if your drug use is getting in the way of your responsibilities. But by that same measure, I have a responsibility problem because my responsibilities keep getting in the way of my drug use. Oh my God. But no, I love drugs. I think they're fascinating, and an underrated drug that people don't talk about enough is hormones. Am I right? Some of you people out there are walking around blissfully unaware of how your hormones are modifying your conscious waking experience of the world and yourself and the people around you. But I am trans, and I have done estrogen and testosterone and a couple other experimental ones, so I have a little bit of insight into the effects of both of them. Estrogen is cool. You know, having tits is sweet, and crying is neat. But then you get on testosterone. You're not crying anymore. Testosterone makes it really hard to cry, but really easy to come. So we're doing really good out here. But no, testosterone is a hell of a drug. One thing that they don't tell you about testosterone when you start it, and they're like listing off all like the horrifying side effects and talking about like genital atrophy and stuff. One of the things they forget to mention is that testosterone makes you gay. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. For example, I like to go to the gym. On estrogen, I'd go to the gym. I was just working out. I was just working on my fitness. On testosterone, though, all of a sudden I'm like watching my bros form. You know, like, you need a spotter, bro? Like, those biceps are looking so pumped after that lift, looking chiseled. It got really homoerotic really fast. And I could elaborate, or you could just listen to the YMCA by the Village People, because I think they put it very clearly. But no, I don't know if it's like the testosterone that made me gay, or that masculinity is inherently kind of gay. Like, the more masculine you get, the gayer. Have you ever seen a Tom of Finland drawing? Because those are the buffest sailors, biker, leather daddies, and they're all having sex with each other. Peak masculine performance. And it might be upsetting to hear me say that, because I come up here and I might not be exactly what you think of when you think of peak masculine performance. But that's okay, because I don't really identify as a man. I identify more as like a guy. Like a silly little guy, you know? Because being a man is uncomfortable. Just like being a woman is uncomfortable. And like, maybe I'll get there someday, but I'm only on my second puberty. So I think I have a few more to go before I get there. Yeah. Thank you. But no, being a non-binary person who has pursued a non-linear transition, it can make coming out kind of complicated. It can make coming out kind of confusing. People often aren't sure if I'm a boy or a girl, which is fair, because I too am often not sure if I'm a boy or a girl. And it's a lot to explain, but let me try for you. For a long time, I was identifying as agender, because people kept telling me to pick a gender. So I did. I picked a gender. Thank you, yes. Yes. And then for a long time, I was also trying to, I came out as agender, but then I moved to Montreal. And I learned about all the rare Montreal genders that got unlocked when I got here that they don't tell you about at first. You know, you got trans mask acoustic folk musician. You got trans girl DJ. You got non-binary drag clown that does burlesque. And that's most of them. Actually, that's most of the genders that they have here. But it's okay. And I also spent a lot of time before I arrived in Montreal trying to figure out if I was asexual or just living in Ottawa. Turns out I'm at least somewhere on the asexual spectrum, but I'm like politically asexual because sex sells. But I am an anti-capitalist. And I refuse to be marketed to. They're still trying though. And that's like one of the other things too, with like corporate pride, and a lot of like ace people don't know where they fit in corporate pride. And then there's all this discourse about kink at pride. It's like, if you're asexual, they don't want you. If you're sexual, they don't want you. So I'm like, what is pride even about anymore? But I'm here to smash some of the stigma and dismantle some of these misconceptions, because asexual people can be kinky too. I have a few kinks as an asexual person. For example, keeping my clothes on, not being touched, and piss. I have one more joke I'm gonna end with, which is that, whenever I arrived in Montreal, I also had something of a metrosexual awakening. And I know it's a bit of a dated term, the idea that like a guy who likes to buy things and wash his ass is like a metrosexual. But it really resonates with me. Something about the city really brings it out of me. And it might just be that Montreal has some of the best public transit infrastructure in the country. Am I right, guys? Metrosexual. Anyway, okay. I'm gonna go now. But thank you so much. You've been a wonderful audience. Give it up for all of your other comedians.